When I was younger, when I was asked to share my testimony, someone questioned me how I knew that God was telling me to share or if it was just true. That question had to happen because at that moment a memory popped in my head. I was in my bathroom brushing my teeth when I remember thinking, I should tell crew I'm going to share my story. So here I am. I believe it was God telling me ahead of time He wanted me up here. So my story begins like this. I grew up in a God-loving family. My family consists of my mom, my dad, my 3 brothers, and 2 sisters. We'd attend church weekly as a family. Every night before going to sleep, we'd get together as a family and pray. As a young kid, I learned that prayer was powerful. From then, I had a desire to talk to God personally. As I grew older, I continued to pray and talk to God. High school came and I became very insecure about everything. I began to compare myself to other girls and felt I wasn't pretty enough, smart enough, or exciting enough. Kids would label me as the quiet one, the shy one, or the peaceful one, and I began to dislike those attributes. I could see the beauty in other people, but I failed to see it in myself. Those negative thoughts in my head of who I was began to consume me. I would straighten my hair and wear a black eyeliner with mascara every day because I wasn't comfortable with who I was. Freshman year of high school, my best friend introduced me to one of her guy friends. Him and I developed a friendship, but later caught feelings. During that time, my parents didn't let me have a boyfriend, and we respected that. We talked all from freshman year through junior year of high school. When junior year came, I began to question if he was the man that God had for me. I would pray daily for clarity for about 3 months. Throughout that time, that guy randomly invited me to a 3-day retreat happening at our church. I invited my sister Emily. As we packed, something unexpected happened. My mom, my sister, and my brother got trapped in our bathroom. Mind you, this door does not lock. I thought, really? Why does this have to happen? We're already running late. I felt I didn't want to go anymore because I didn't want to show up late. I remember my mom telling me, no, we are going. There will be times when, as you try to get closer to something God is doing in your life, the enemy will come in to distract us, but we can't fall into that. I unwillingly said, okay. When I walked into the retreat, the first thing I already disliked was the fact that they had covered up all the mirrors in the bathroom. But later on, I didn't care because in true honesty, in that retreat, I experienced God on a whole new level. I saw myself being vulnerable to people I had barely met. I cried in front of them and in front of my sister, which she had never seen before. I wasn't afraid to hug my sister and tell her I love her, which I had never done before. I heard of stories where people had gone through serious, scary stuff, but how God had freed them from that. I began to recognize how big and powerful God is. I experienced God using all my 5 senses and more. I say 5 senses and more because the way in which I experienced God was beyond what my 5 senses can explain. It was all too beautiful and powerful. Towards the end of the retreat, I didn't want to leave. I got sad when I saw the covers in the bathroom mirrors being taken down. But when I did see myself in the mirror, for the first time in a long time, I was happy with my reflection. I realized that I didn't have to wear makeup or straighten my hair to be beautiful. I looked closely at my eyes and I saw a whole new person. A person that accepted themselves fully to how God had made them. I didn't want to leave the retreat. The thought of leaving this beautiful place I had spent those past 3 days saddened me. I remember thinking, I don't want to go out there in that corrupted world that doesn't know God and who is living in their own self-seeking pleasure, but I knew that I now had to be a light of God to that world I didn't want to face. A day after the retreat, the guy I was talking to started acting different. We talked about it, and he said that after the retreat, he felt it was wrong. We were always together, and because of that, he felt he was disrespecting my parents, who he knew didn't let me date. I right away knew that was a cue from God telling me to accept what he was saying because he wasn't who he had for me. As I continued to choose to live a life for God, I noticed I was changing. I no longer found rest in spending hours watching TV or YouTube vlogs, which was what I considered relaxing. I started feeling like it was a waste of my time to rest and I would become depressed when I would. I didn't understand why I was feeling this way, but this past weekend at Fall Getaway, Ryan Nato said something that stood out to me. He introduced the word ennui, and he described it as depression caused by boredom, along with a feeling like your soul longs for something greater. That is exactly what I started to feel as I got closer to God. I began to realize that I would feel depressed when I would rest because I wasn't resting correctly. My soul was longing for something greater, and I've come to know that something greater is God. I am now able to rest in God. My senior year of high school, I continued to grow. I continued to grow in my desire to follow God. I trusted in Him wholeheartedly and decided where it was that God wanted me to go to college. That year, my ABD class toured at UWSP. Right when I walked in, I knew this was my school. My first week as a freshman, I walked around campus and came across a crew poster hanging in the DUC. I went that day and loved it. I became involved with crew that first year and I've been involved since. Through crew, I have gone to Fall Getaway, Legacy Conference, Destino Winter Conference, and Crew Winter Conference. As I continued to grow in my faith, I fully surrendered my dating life to God. I told God I wasn't looking for anyone and I wanted Him to bring someone into my life at His timing, even if it was later in life. I didn't think this would happen so soon, but the beginning of my sophomore year, I met a really cool God-fearing man. As I got to know him, I was amazed at who God has sent my way, and we've been together since. During my sophomore year, I also began to develop close friendships in crew who are my closest friends to this day. I'm thankful for all that God has done and is doing. The main things I want you to take away from my testimony tonight is how God's character was shining through in my life. He showed me that He made me in His image, and because of that, I'm beautiful to His eyes. He showed me that in constant prayer, He will answer. I just have to be patient. He showed me that rest is found in Him and in Him alone, and that the more of a step I take to Him, the more of a step He takes towards me, providing me with community and purpose in my life for Him. If you're related to my story or would like to talk after crew, I'll be in the back. Thank you.